together in this initiative. And the students have also joined us in large numbers. And for most of the sessions, there are about 100 who have joined in. And you've had very interactive sessions with the speakers, and it's been very, very productive as an experience for us, Rima and me, as coordinators too. It's been very satisfying. That's also very important. And I hope, Renu, for you also, it will be equally satisfying coming here and addressing everyone today. A brief introduction, a very illustrious speaker we have with us today. So I would like to introduce her to you formally, although for us, she will always be Renu. Dr. Renu Malviya, Associate Professor, Department of Education, Lady Irwin College, University of Delhi, with experience in teaching, research, and extension. She has been associated with projects by CARE, Save the Children, United Nations Population Fund, ILO, UGC, Google, University of Delhi, University of Edinburgh, Scotland, UK, King's College, London. Besides 20 books for academics, she has published books on bibliotherapy, contributed chapters to 25 books and modules, and has presented papers at national and international conferences. An RCI certified special educator, CBSE certified master trainer, is advisor to the Commissioner of Disability, member Mental Health Counseling Team, University of Delhi, member Preparatory Team for Center of Disability Studies, DU, trainer of trainers, taught with expertise in intergenerational building, life skills, pedagogy, mental health, gender capacity, building special education, and inclusive education. Has just become active with her YouTube on understanding disability and diversity. She's also the secretary of All India Women's Education Fund Association and joint secretary, Indian Association of Family Therapy. Now, that is a very, very, very exhaustive CV. I have condensed it. And indeed, we are so proud to have an alumni of our own college, our own parent department here to address our own students. I have nothing more to say but a warm, warm welcome to you, Dr. Renu Malviya. So glad to have you here today. All yours.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nirmala Mural. It is such a pleasure to be here and to be welcomed by my senior. I remember all the lovely things that we learned from our seniors at that point of time. And I'm hopeful that I will be able to hold the attention of all the students here and the faculty for the next 1 hour. So let me just present over. Let me just present my screen first of all. So here goes my ability with technology. I hope I can work it out effectively. Please tell me if I'm able to, is my screen visible?
Yes.
And yes. I am also audible and visible, right? Absolutely. So here's a warm welcome to all the organizers. Thank you for giving me this prestigious position and all the faculty from the various colleges who have joined in here, and especially the students, without whom nobody would have given me any importance. Thank you, students, for your presence here. And be up in arms with a lot of questions, okay? Otherwise, I feel that I am not good enough. So your questions will be the ones which will get me to understand what do we need to do more in the area of disability studies and so on and so forth. The topic which has been given to me by the organizers is collaboration between special educator, general educator, and family for mainstream inclusive education. I thought it was, I hope it is a challenge. It is a challenging topic, I think, because everyone loves to be in their own cubicles. So we have the general teachers, who think we know a lot of ways we have been trained effectively. We have the special educators who have been trained very effectively. The family has had the child always, and know they probably do know what is best for the child. And how do we connect all these people who are knowledgeable adults, skilled adults, for the benefit of the special child that we have? Or why should we say that certain children are special? Everyone is special. So am I and you who are special. So let's move on to the next is, when we go on, first we need to understand how we are embedded. You've all done Bonfront-Brunner's models, and we are embedded within those structures there. The persons, how many people, how many different categories of persons with disabilities have been authenticated by the Act of and Policies of India. So if we go to the latest one, which is the Rights of Persons with Disability Act 2016, or in short called the RPWD Act 2016, there are 21 disabilities. So those of us who are already in the university system, and some of us have individuals, young adults in our classrooms who are persons with special needs. Many of us don't. But we are all waiting to be of any assistance to them. We are waiting to welcome all the different possible persons with disabilities into our classrooms. And our young students, many of them are looking forward to either be teachers at the school level or at the college level or the university level. They also are very happy to take up the challenge of being able to take diverse learners into the classrooms. So 21 categories are already there, and it's said that there'll be many more. These are the different institutions of, see, imagine the whole field of special needs disability. There are 21, and there are 5 different major institutions of disabilities across the country which work for them. And we still need more. You would have heard about the term specific learning disability. I understand that during your certificate course that you're a part of, the lecture series that you had an entire session on LD, or what is now better known as specific learning disability, as per the act and policy of the country that we live in. Okay, so they don't even have a national institute. Then you must have heard about autism spectrum disorder, another place. So can you imagine the number of institutions working towards disability, studies, developing content for them, and so on and so forth? And can you imagine the number of different types of B.Ed? So we have a B.Ed in MR, which is intellectual disability. We have a B.Ed in SLD, which is specific learning disability. We have a B.Ed in autism and in visual impairment, all these different. And we also have a B.Ed, which trains teachers for the other mainstream inclusive classrooms. So all the teachers who taught you did a B.Ed, right? The others, those of you who want to become special educators, would land up doing a B.Ed in a special education and become special educators. Now the problem is, why should everyone be living separately? Why should they be in separate classes? Imagine girls going only, not interacting with boys ever. Boys never allowed to interact with girls. Do you like that? So therefore, we have a lot of co-ed schools. Similarly, why shouldn't all the children be studying in the same class? But there are issues related to this. Let's go back. The university that you study in is governed by what is called the University Grant Commission. They give us the rules, they give us a lot of other things, and we follow those mandates. And they say that there should be national centers for disability studies. They've also given departments of educational studies. And in your colleges also, you would be having what is called the equal opportunity cell. All this is what the UGC, which comes under the Ministry of Human Resource Development, is talking about. There's another thing, another ministry that you would be aware of, the Ministry of Social Science and Empowerment. And that takes care of everything related to the disability area when it comes to skill development. And that is called Rehabilitation Council of India. Now let's look at these teachers, general teachers and special education. Had COVID not been there, you would have gone for field visits. You would have had in-service, pre-service, actual hands-on interaction with children with special needs, and you would have seen for yourself that sometimes children with special needs are taught in separate places, which is called segregation. Sometimes they're included into the regular classroom. And when they are included in the regular classroom, then it is called integration and inclusive education. Dr. Rima Lama, go and bother her later on. She's one of the first ones to be doing a PhD on inclusive education, by the way. And so we have a course for general teacher training. We have a course for special education. And now what happens is, initially it used to be a 1 year course. Now when the teachers, we realize that 1 year is not enough to train teachers for you in the school system. So it became 2 years. Now it's being realized that 2 years is also not enough. So it's going to become gradually 4 years. And who has said this? There's a new program which has come in, a new policy which has come in, which is called the National NEP 2020, or the National Education Policy 2020, which says that teachers really need to be trained very effectively. Your teachers would have also be saying, we need teachers, we need a better understanding of special education. Therefore, your professors saw to it that they developed this particular module for all of you. Uh, so here, what happens in a classroom? These are the two national policies that I was just now telling you all about. So, are there any questions which are coming to your mind? Or may I put a question to you? What is your vision? What do you think is a general teacher? And what do you think is a special educator? The pictures here are here to support you in answering. And anyway, it's such a simple question. So you already know the answer. You must be waiting to ask me more tougher questions. Anyone wants to tell me what do you think is a general teacher? And what do you think is a special educator? I will wait for another 2 minutes, and then I will try and answer the question for you.
Ma'am, the
Yes,
general teachers.
please tell
Yes,
me.
ma'am. The general teachers could be the normal teachers that we see in our school, the
Your
colleges.
voice is not, you're not audible, Himanshi.
Ma'am, am I audible now? Hello?
You're audible
Voice
to
is not audible to me.
Ma'am, am I audible now?
You are Himanshi. I can hear you. I don't know about Dr. Malvia.
Ma'am, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, so ma'am, I was saying general teachers could be the teachers that we have in our colleges, in our schools, who deal with the children who do not have any sort of disability and are the same like others. And the special educators are those teachers who have their specific ways of dealing with the specific kind of disabilities that a particular child might have, like a teacher who would just deal with a child with autism, or a teacher who would just deal with a child with visual impairments, and so on.
Okay, that's exactly perfect, perfectly stated. Perfect. Now tell me, why do the teachers who are the teachers who are general teachers, like the ones who are in school, the ones who are in college, why do you think they are not able to handle, you said, a child with autism? Okay, why do you think they have difficulty in handling or being able to facilitate learning in a child with autism? Anyone?
Ma'am,
Because
because the needs
yes,
of the children with autism and the children who do not have autism, they are different. So catering to the needs and their requirements, a curriculum is based on that. The activities to handle their behaviors is based on the disability they have.
exactly. So, if I am able to give a course to the general teachers where they are sensitized to the characteristics, the basic understanding of how a child with on the autism spectrum disorder learns, then will I, as a general teacher, be more open to having a child with autism in my classroom? Yes, isn't it? I feel uncomfortable doing that because I do not know what are the characteristics, what are the needs of the child with disability. Now, the special educator does not know how to, they are not trained effectively how to handle very large classes because they work one to one. But general teachers can take very large classes, even online classes where I'm only seeing circles, circles, and circles. So now, if I need to understand that the general teacher often feels the special educator is not doing anything, but if we expose the general teacher to a little bit of what are the characteristics of different disabilities, they will understand better how or what does a special educator do, and vice versa. Put a special educator in front of 100 students in a classroom, and they will understand the challenges of being able to reach out to 100 blossoming young minds with lot of energy, lot of engagement, lot of questions. So this is exactly where the whole problem rises, that one doesn't know how to handle the other. Right, and therefore you will find in the school system and elsewhere, नहीं नहीं ये बच्चा तो ऐसा है इसको हम अपनी क्लास में नहीं ले सकते हैं, how will I teach them, and vice versa. So if the other point is, how many teachers have you seen at the college level, at the school level, who have three, four teachers sit in the same classroom teaching together? How often has that happened with you? Three, four teachers teaching together in the classroom, same class.
Ma'am, we've not seen that happen, but even if we have three, four teachers for that same subject, grasping that subject becomes very difficult. Because I personally, we had like three eco teachers for last semester, and understanding economics became like a task for me because every teacher had their own different way of teaching and understanding of the topic. So again, if we have a lot of teachers teaching the same subject or a lot of teachers teaching at the same time, grasping the information is going to be difficult, and understanding which student has understood what is going to be difficult.
Okay, let's take you back to your family. Are there times when your parents are otherwise they are forever in conflict with each other? Okay, but when it comes to interaction with you or your brother or any other sibling, both of them are in sync. आंखों आंखों में बात कर लेते हैं, and they will both come up with the same barriers for you. No, you're not going out at night. So there is no conflict. Does it? Are there situations like this which happen in the family?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So when you are saying these number of teachers, like you're giving example, had they been trained to work in sync with each other seamlessly, then would the learning or the knowledge of all those 3, 4, 5 teachers together have been a big empowerment, a lot of knowledge, lot of skills which would have come into the students? Yes, if they could work in seamlessly together. I know you haven't seen this. Yes, ma'am? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
So, this is exactly what is not happening. This is called collaborative teaching or team teaching, where the different teachers, not only from the same subject but from different subjects, combine together. Okay, and they teach in such a, supposing I'm talking about there's a class on photosynthesis. So you have a language teacher who starts off with a poem on photosynthesis. Then the biology teacher starts talking about photosynthesis. Then the sociology teacher puts in her or his views and talks about how that is influencing the social structures, right? Or whatever else. The geography teacher comes in and puts something else. Or you have the teacher who's working on what do we call the pollution aspects and puts in. Now, if supposing this whole thing is done in a seamless manner, imagine how well you would understand photosynthesis. But what would happen here is generally they would not be able to sync together because nobody taught them the skills to be together. And this is the similar problem which is happening between the general teacher and the special education. They do not know how to get along together. Nobody taught them. And if we do that, and why has this happened? Why do I dress the way I am dressing? Because that's the role models that I was exposed to. If or the way I speak, it is also the role models that I was exposed to. So it's the role models that I'm getting exposed to. So the general teacher and the special educator have never really seen anyone work together. The students have never seen anyone work together. And if, why is this? Because all teachers work alone. They have never learned how to work with each other. There was no training given on that. And that is what, as soon as we start getting the general teacher and the special educator to work together, we can have all the students in the same class. And I'm talking from experience, by the way. Okay, now this is what is being said by NEP 2020, the national policy of our country. How do we do that? Let me take an example from what should we say? Yeah, zoology. You have a zoology lab in your schools. You had a zoology lab in your school where the teachers of the zoology lab, who were masters in zoology, knew everything about animals. Okay, they also knew every detail about the silkworm. Then you had a home science teacher. Okay, she knew certain amount about about the silkworm, but not enough. Where did she go and find out, get more information from? The zoology teacher. Okay, and she applied that to the different textiles that she was working with. Right. Did the zoology teacher feel threatened? about it? Or did the home science teacher feel, oh my God, I don't know this. How can I ask the zoology teacher? No, both the teachers did not feel that. But when it comes to general teachers and special education teachers, there's this whole divide of that this child is my child. I know about what a child with blindness can be taught. And the other one says, no, I do not know anything. And even if she or he tries to teach a child who is blind, the other teacher will say, you do not know. But if I have a child who is blind in my classroom, and it's actually this is what's happened. I remember the example of one of my colleagues when I was younger, and we would go over to NCRT. You all of you know what NCRT is, and there was this professor who was very knowledgeable, but he was blind. And this colleague of mine, a good friend, her cubicle was next to his. And anyone who would come to this very wonderful, knowledgeable, expert professor, but who was blind, would scream at the top of their voice. And we used to laugh, saying that, come on, he's blind. He's not hearing impaired. See how such a basic understanding of, of what are the characteristics of a person with special needs are there and not understood. And I'm only talking about those disabilities just now wherein it is visible. Another example again of somebody who is a professor with wonderful awards all over, wonderful teacher, right? But he is blind. He was applying for accommodation for professors at the university. So every time he would go there, they would say, come after a week, please, the office people, after a week. After a while, he got very fed up. I said, there are so many houses which are vacant. I can see it on the net. But how come you are not giving it to me? What is the problem? So the person there said, sir, it is on the first floor. And then he was so upset that I do not have any problem in walking up the stairs. I can run, I can jump, I can do walk up the stairs. I just happen to be blind. So see, such basic things of the characteristics are not often understood. I'm not even going to the strategies for teaching. And courses like this will help us be more sensitive, and you can go to the other people and talk about how to include people with disability in the regular classroom. So here we have, this is what we are doing. We are excluding anyone who is slightly different. And I'm still talking about mentioning the examples that I've given are of persons with disability who have sensory disability, which are visible disabilities. I still haven't given any example of those people whose brain work in a different way. Diverse disability, or what are called hidden disabilities, or what are called neurodevelopmental disabilities. And that is where the general teacher and the special educator often have a problem to fit in together. How many of you have watched the movie Tare Zameen Par? And if you haven't, it's a homework. I am giving you an assignment. You must go and watch it again. An extremely creative child is looked as somebody who does not, who is being naughty, does not want to study, because that child's brain works differently. And it's later when there is a person who understands the strategies for teaching him that he suddenly is able to do so much better. So, what are we saying here is, in segregation, the needs of the special educated child with special needs are understood, but the the regular teachers still feel that we cannot teach them. Then comes integration, that they are comfortable now to the extent that they allow the child to be part of the classroom, but they still do not understand how to teach them. And in inclusion, what happens is you're able to teach everyone. I'll just show you as I go forward how simple. Supposing in your class there is a girl or a boy who is not able to copy from the blackboard. May I give him photostat material? Will it be a problem? Will in any way cause a problem for me? Or somebody, Himanshi was talking about the child who was autistic. I'll give you another example. Here, and children, individuals with autism are also, if given the right training and the right teaching strategies and the right education, they become professors and doctors and they become wonderful with technology, because technology does not say, they like to have answers in yes and no, right and wrong, and technology always gives you right and wrong answers, right? So here was this child, listen to this, and then I'm going to ask you a question. Was the teacher unhappy? Was she right being unhappy? She or he? This child who had a certificate showing that he has autism. He's on the autism spectrum disorder, the whole spectrum. So in the classroom, after a while, what he would do is he would get up, go to the last desk, and go under the desk and sit there. Now the teacher had a major problem, and she would go and say, "How? What am I supposed to do?" After a while, he just goes and sits down under the desk, and it's so very difficult for me. It's so frustrating. I've tried every way to come out. So one day, this professor came over and he asked, "So he sits there the whole day?" No, she said, "No, no, not the whole day. Only for a short period of time, and then he comes out. And when he comes out, does he start studying again? Yes, then he is very active." Imagine, that child was only trying to find a way of all the noise, the environmental noise, the chaos in the classroom. In any learning classroom, there will be a lot of movement, there will be chaos. And here, this child wanted to be away for it for a short while. So he used to go under the decks, right? And then come out after time out, freshened up, having a little nap like we have little naps. Here he was going there and he was coming and sitting and studying again. Should the teacher, how was he bothering the teacher? And if the teacher was getting bothered, was it a relevant bother that the teacher was going through? Would any of the students or the faculty want to react to this? Have I explained what answer I want? In your classroom, in school, there is a boy who is autistic, who is not creating any problem for anyone, but after a short while, once in a while, he goes and sits under the last desk for 5 minutes, comes out, goes back to his desk and starts writing again, or listening to what the teacher is saying, paying full attention after that. Should I, the teacher, find this upsetting? Tough, na? This is it. You know, we are into, as general teachers, we often tend to think, how is he disturbing you? It's better than creating a chaos. Only 5 minutes of the learning process has gone away. But after that, he's back again. Just because your eyes like to see everyone sitting in straight rows. So therefore, so you can teach better. You're not bothered about how the child can learn better. So it's okay. So this is what when the special educator and the general teacher tend to work together, and the special educator can explain to the general teacher, it's okay. In a normal situation, what will you do? You will, the special general teacher will say, take him to the learning center. No, 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 he is not fit for this class at all. Now, there's another thing that we need to remember. The acts and policies of our country make it mandatory that every child in our classroom is our child. You cannot say that I cannot teach this particular child. Please remove him from my class. Every child in your classroom, in school and in college, is our responsibility to get the best out of them. So I don't know if I've shaken you with this example. I'll be putting in more. So we have, when we are saying segregated, don't come to me. I am not for you. When we say integrated, come, okay, come and sit here, but I don't know how to teach you. You're so different from me. And inclusion is when the school system, the college system says, welcome, we will respond to you. At the college system, go around the different, I know just now it's COVID, so you can't go gallivanting from one college to the other, but Delhi University has so many colleges. Just go around and do a survey, go and meet friends and make new friends in different colleges when the COVID is over, or you might have already done that when you have festivals across different colleges, and most colleges have ramps. But what will you see? That many of the ramps have been barricaded with beautiful flower pots. Others don't have a railing. You go and ask, why have you done this? Oh, we don't have anyone on a wheelchair. We also have ramps. I'll give you an example of another college where a certain part of the college area gets slightly waterlogged. So they made a ramp, sort of a pathway through there. But the pathway made was tiled pathway, beautifully done, but it's this large. But for a wheelchair or somebody who uses a crane, a stick, it has to be slightly larger. Just one more string of tiles to be added. The people from the Equal Opportunity Cell tried their level best, but they could not get the, the committee which had facilitated the making of this particular pathway with the right ramp incline to put that extra there. There was students on the wheelchair in that particular college. The committees went on to say, when they were asked why, see, these students can also take this path. No, the other path is, they can go by that particular path. Why do they need to go by that? Are they not complete members of that particular college? Or only people who can walk on their two legs are the complete members of that particular college? So here what was happening, money was not an important thing because colleges have enough money to put one more layer of tiles. What was the issue there? Completely attitude, mindset, why they are different and I am different. And the students, so here comes in the importance of having a attitude which encompasses, which takes in people from all walks of life. And we look at what are we there for? As teachers, are we there, or as parents, or as siblings, or as peer group? Are we there to see how they can work,
Or how do they work differently? Or are we there to see how they learn best and to be able to get the best of them? Other example I'm taking from the college system again of that particular child who has specific learning disability. What is the issue with generally characteristics is that their writing is not very good. They have difficulty in prioritizing their work. So you give them two assignments which have to be submitted by the end of on Friday. They will land up submitting some other assignment on Friday and not the assignment which they were supposed to give. Okay, but they're very good with event management. Guess what? This particular young adult was the college president. Amazingly good with managing events. That's what a college president does. But her assignments, his assignments, used to never be the right assignments given to the teacher. Now, supposing this was the problem and you were the special educator there, is there a simple solution to that you could have found out here? Was there some way of seeing that this particular young adult was able to give the right assignment every Friday and not the wrong assignment? Yes? Nobody wants to give an answer. I thought it was a very simple answer of having a peer buddy who would remind me that you have to give this assignment, or just get him to put it on his mobile that this is the assignment which is more effectively used. So when we are talking about the general teachers and the special education teachers, studies show this is what is called the four-tier intervention pyramid. So at the school level and in colleges, like I give you the example of the zoology teacher did not take up the role of becoming the home science teacher. He or she just gave a little bit of one's knowledge to the other expert. Similarly, the general teachers and the special education teachers, they can give some of their specialized knowledge to the other. But often one feels if I tell the general teacher everything, then the my need in the system will decrease. No, it will not. The zoology teachers still has a permanent job. We still have a zoology lab in all schools. Right. Similarly, the general teacher may feel, oh, this is so much extra work. But that home science teacher who learned more about the cell form did not feel that she was being burdened with that extra knowledge. She actually felt this was empowering her. So, as general teachers, can I think of how the presence of different children with disability in my classroom actually empowers me? And here is the example of what is called the universal design of learning. At this point of time, when we have children, teachers who are general teachers, and they learn how to manage or have children with disability in their classroom, they also become more effective as teachers and vice versa. Now, what happens is that many children with slight variations in how they learn, the example of the child with autism that I give you, or when you're writing on the blackboard, the general teachers generally are taught in their teacher training programs, but many a times we forget. The college teachers do not have a training program, and what do we have? That the important points are written on the side, which every special educator does. Now, if we link that together, such simple things, and that is tier 1 and tier 2 will easily take in all people with disability into their system. While I was preparing this PPT, there was a student who was sitting with me, and she was telling me that all her life She felt that she was so bad with spelling and she's not a certified or an identified dyslexic. And all I felt so uncomfortable about it. It's only when I started understanding what is SID, now I don't feel so uncomfortable. All I do is the spellings which I find very difficult, I write them, I've written them in a copy and I open the copy to double check if the answer is right, if the spelling is right. What simple method? After all, is it a spelling exam that are we talking about? Or is it your human development paper that you are answering, which is more important? Whether you spell HUMAN correctly or you know where to write human development correctly, which should be given more importance. So here, next is, let me give a breather to myself, and maybe I there is some question, somebody who might be wanting to ask me a question. Would you like to put that in the chat box, or organizers, please tell me, would you like me to continue? Is there any question, any reflection, or have I put you off to sleep? If you have, just put in a yes, ma'am. Nobody?
Ma'am, I feel you are covering each and every aspect. So I don't think so. Nobody is sleeping that way. So I
Okay.
am enjoying the session that way. Ma'am,
Thank
please.
you. Thank you, Prerna, ma'am. Thank you so much. I'll continue. So, and how much time do you have more?
Ma'am,
Uh,
Ma'am, you can continue.
yeah, you
Okay.
can continue, of course, of course.
Okay. So I will continue. So yeah, of course, I have just started developing some YouTubes because I realized that it's important. I'm not covering here is the importance of, you can go to the YouTube and look that up. Besides my YouTube, there are many, many others also. The difference between impairment, disability, and handicap. Impairment is the deficit that I have. If I do not have a right hand, it is impairment. But because I do not have the right hand, I am not able to write is a disability. And because I'm not able to write, I'm not able to give the exam and pass the exam and then get a job. That is handicap. So impairment is at the body level. Disability is the function that I'm not able to perform, still at the individual level. But the handicap is at the social level. If the society helps or the education system helps in removing that particular handicapping situation, then the impact of disability will decrease, the impairment will remain. I still will not have my hand, but the impact of that function will decrease. So the function or the disability limitations will decrease. I'll give you an example. In CBSE, in the university system, any person who hurts themselves and is unable to write, or a person, individual, a student who is blind, or a student who has specific learning disability, dyslexia, are permitted to have a writer. So, what is happening? The problem is not that they do not know. The problem is that they cannot write effectively. So, what are we doing? Instead of testing their knowledge through writing, what are we doing? We are testing their knowledge by what they speak and somebody else writes for them. So, what have we done? We have removed this channel of handicapping situation, and we have given a channel, CBSE has given a channel which is not an issue for them. So actually what they know is understood better. I have done my PhD from a wonderful place called Jawaharlal Nehru University, and one of my contemporary was the Deputy Director of Education, Thailand. She did not know Hindi, she did not know English, she did not know any Indian language. So for her to write her thesis was amazingly difficult. I was given the task by my supervisor to help her completing her work because I was also from the field of education. All along till she finished her PhD, and it used to be so difficult. Her broken Hindi, her broken English, and she couldn't see a sentence correct. And I was supposed to be her buddy. Oh, and I really, really thought, she is not. These Thai people are not as intelligent as us Indians. Till after we finished the PhD, and she invited me to Thailand, and I saw her in her real form, where I was handicapped because I did not know Thai, and she was in her elements. The deputy director of education, amazing. It was an entirely different person. See how the language was causing such a big handicapping situation. So this is what we are talking about when we talk about the need for the general and the special education teachers to work in handy together to remove the handicapping situations. The barriers to learning are the school organization and resources. So see, who is not happy here? All of them are not wheelchair users, but they're using a wheelchair to play here. If I have structure sitting places like this, now this girl on the wheelchair is able to go in. If I have a child who is on the who is dyslexic and works in a group, and so the sitting arrangement of my class are like this. The teachers look at this. You will not be able to see where the teacher is because the teacher here is not a teacher. He or she is a facilitator, a co-learner. You've seen it during this COVID time. Did your respect for your teachers go down? They were the ones who learned technology from you people. They became co-learners, or rather, you became the teacher, but their expertise remained. So let's just change these structures. Here is this child who is blind, and instead of using this keyboard, can you see my cursor is using a braille keyboard. The He's typing using a braille keyboard. It's going onto the screen and then will be converted from text to speech. So the handicapping situation is getting removed. So can this is how we go. Look at this. This is called a daisy reader. It's this small thing. So when you point it here, it reads instead of you reading out. So this is very good for children with dyslexia, children who do not know a language. So there are in this, it's not only you press one button, it will read out in Hindi, and you press the other button, it will read out in English, or third button in some other language. So you have first generation learners. Okay, so this is an English book. So the child is learning English. The mother presses the Hindi button, and so the mother can understand, or the parents, I shouldn't say mother, father also is as important in the child rearing and education of the child, right? Would be able to understand the same what is written in the text in the language that they know. The other barriers are the culture and policies. So these are our policies. The government gives us good policies, then our inclusion will increase. So these very good policies that have emerged are helping us to move towards inclusive education, and therefore Dr. Nimi, Nirmala, Dr. Rima, and everyone else have been able to take this forward because we have wonderful policies to support us. And see here, this is when we talk about, this is many of you are aware of, is BALA, B A small, L capital, A capital, building as a learning aid. And see, you have the, in the classroom, it's written on the black, this thing, the tables are here. And the tables are in the school all the time. Anytime you're walking by and you want to remember 21 twos are, oh God, where was it? It's in my textbook. Who's going to go back and look at the textbook? It's there on the wall. Look at this. When you remember, you learn that all the colors together make the white color. So you have the different colors here, you have the fan on, and it becomes white. What wonderful way of learning. Wish they had this when I was young. Classrooms. See, this is how classrooms need to be, even the classrooms in colleges. Wish I had more time, I could give you more stories. I love to tell stories. The next is we're talking about buildings and physical obstacles. This, see here, it's a mobile which is becoming from text to speech. And do our colleges, our universities, our schools have this? You wouldn't need a special education teacher. You would, all teachers would become special education. Do any one of you know what is the incline of a ramp? At what should be the incline? Please go up and look. And then check the ramp in your colleges. Are they of the right incline? When you walk up the ramp, are you comfortable? If you are not, then how will the child with disability be comfortable walking up that ramp? And finally, is when we talk about relationships with the community. I don't know how many colleges ours did. We had a PTM, and it was amazing because the whole structure of how you work has changed because of COVID. So we roped in the parents. We had a PTM with them. And the grandparents wanted to be part of it. And the siblings were part of that also because anyone could come in. We didn't mind that. And we were able to have a different connect. I was talking to one of my students who is a school teacher, been teaching for a number of years now. And guess what she said? Ma'am, I have such a better understanding of my students now because I know where they come from, which I did not understand earlier, thanks to online teaching. Because in online teaching, as soon as you are, you can see where the child is coming from, and it gives you such a good understanding of exactly where, what is the background, what are the examples I need to use, what is going to be engaging for my student, and so on and so forth. Do I know where does my child with disability come from? Here, even the dog is important. Here, aware. Do the general teacher and the special education teacher know how to connect them together? And so here comes in the role of the family. There might be a lot of people, and that's what we are doing. You know, would you be aware of this? That there are a lot of work which the government is trying to do on intergeneration bonding. We have experts who are retired, elderly, but they are doing nothing because we do not rope them in. Will my college, will my school system rope in those experts? Many, many countries are doing it, where the farmer comes to the classroom and takes that particular class. Remember, in your school syllabus, there is a particular chapter on agricultural aids and appliances, and which I remember my students, they had never seen that particular type of appliance because they're not from a farming family. They've never seen a village. When the farmer actually comes and does that, takes a class there, can you see the connect that would be there? Why are we not involving the grandparents in a country where we have joint families, where we have extended families? If the grandmother from my family is not there, the neighborhood grandmother is there. And who can give that extra time? Because we, as general teachers and special education teachers, first need to sink in together. Only then can you move on to the community. So at this point, so there's so much that we can be done with the community. So I think the last point, let me just take an example. I've already overshooted. Is supposing you are teaching, and this is comes from, or even before I go on, or let me do this. This is, I don't know which class do we learn about force, push, and pull. Probably I think it's class 7. Every child in the classroom does not need to know the formula of force and push and pull and do the calculation and come to the conclusion that push plus pull is equal to force. The entire formula thing. Those who are the general, the larger 68% of the bell-shaped curve would do that. The ones who are not going to become doctors and engineers, but they need to have functional knowledge, maybe they will not even get a certificate saying that they have passed class 8th. They will get a certificate saying that they were part of the process of teaching learning of class 8th. Do they not need to know what is force? That force is a combination of push and pull. Where would they need this knowledge? When they go to a restaurant, this is push and this is pull. Can I have both these children in the same classroom? Any problems? Many teachers do not have a problem with that. Many schools do not have a problem with that. And you won't believe the students are okay with that. I went to that topper in my class who had wonderful English, was wonderful as an English, and is a well-known author now to understand grammar. He did not keep saying, Renu, you do not know grammar. Oh, you're good for nothing. You should not be sitting with me in the same class that I am sitting. Okay, I barely passed my English, but he was so good in grammar. You see the difference? But he could not make such a good teacher as I can. So that's my advantage. I hope I'm a good teacher. So here comes in how in the same class we can have everyone. So from here, let me go to the final example of this particular teacher, SEN, Special Education Needs in Charge, SEN. She had a child who was sitting in class 8 and was the IQ showed that his IQ was below average. But till class 8, you cannot tell a child to go away. During the exams, whenever they tried to make him write the answers, he could not write at all. It was as bad as the class nursery. His writing, his understanding of the language was that bad. But he was wonderful at doing those line drawings. So this SEN teacher went to the staff room. I want this particular child to take the exam this year. The principal said, what? The other colleague said, what? Don't you see? He's not going to write the exam. He's going to draw this exam. Everyone dropped out of their chairs. And they said, those who were drinking tea, they stopped drinking. Who was eating, they stopped eating. Those who were correcting the paper. Then what are you talking about? So I want to do it. Anyway, he's failing now. He's not doing anything in those 3 hours. Let him sit down, give him the paper, and let him sketch it out. Don't you even know how much time it takes to sketch out? Have you ever tried drawing? Is the answer that she got. Anyway, she threw her word around. I am the sin in charge. I want it done, so I'll do it. Okay, 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 you have the power to do it. Believe it. The child was actually able to do line drawings, and when those answers were shown to the other teachers, they were amazed. It made sense. This is the time of when we talk about what is called the universal design of learning. I'm just giving this point. You need a lot of extra knowledge to be able to use that in the classroom. But see the possibilities. Just being able to speak fluent English, being able to write is not the only way of being able to show others that I know it. And with that, I move on to the last one, that every child who comes in contact with me is my child. It's not your child and my child. And with that, let me say thank you to all of you. Any questions? I have probably gone over time.
Thank you so much, ma'am. A very effective presentation with a lot of examples. It's always pleasure to hear you and something new to learn. So before I give a formal vote of thanks, any questions, students, or any comments from the faculty?
Ma'am, it was great listening to you in terms of the examples that you've given us in understanding about the education and how that it is important for the teachers to know about the needs and the characteristics and the institutions in general as well. So thank you, ma'am, for the session.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being part of the group. Thank you so much. May I sign out now?
Ma'am, no, I'll give you a formal vote of thanks, ma'am.
No,
If there are
thanks,
any other
Dr.
questions.
Malvia. I want to say something. Thank you
Yes,
so
yes, ma'am.
much. I'm Suparna Gupta, teaching at Shama Prasad Mukherjee College. Thank you so
Hello.
much for a very stimulating talk on creating truly enriching learning environments. It was so full of examples, and one could see the potential of the child there, that you wanted to convey. And we could also appreciate that there are so many players and with such unique abilities and with the little flexibility and creativity together, or everyone can do wonders. So thank you so much. I am really feeling uh, enlightened today after hearing this. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gupta. It makes my day. Thank you so much.
Hello, Dr. Malviya. This is Meeta from IP College. As I have been a student at Lady Owen College, but never had the opportunity to be a student. But as Nimi ma'am rightly said, you carry this contagious smile, and I was always glad to see you around in the college. So, ma'am, it has always been, my concern also. Like you have been in the B.Ed faculty since long. I mean, I just, while you were talking about special teachers and general teachers and the lack of communication which happens between them, and therefore it is, transcended in the classes also. So, would you throw some light on teacher training programs in the country? Because, I am reminded of this Krishna Kumar's book called A Pedagogue's Romance. And there he writes very beautifully in one of the chapters that let us all blame the teachers. So sometimes we also put up
Let
all the pressure, yeah, on a teacher. So I mean, where is the teacher at fault? Because sometimes I feel that the courses of teacher training in our country are highly regimented, and somehow they are so closed, I mean, in their approach. So and how is it happening at the other places? Like, you have so much experience of it, so if you would just like to share your experience on that, that how could a good teacher training program benefit students? Because it's like in a class, if you have 40 teachers who will be teaching another thousands of students, then how it is important to take care of a teacher training program? This is my question to you. Thank you, ma'am.
Often I tell my students that when we are not training, training you to get good marks. You have to be agents of change. You're not going to be activists. There's a major difference there. And I also tell them with that is that अगर मैं नहीं जा रही हूँ स्कूल में पर मेरा भूत आ जाएगा अगर तुमने मेरी बातें वहां पर नहीं फॉलो करी अभी तो यस मैम कह रहे हो is the is the on the light side what I tend to tell them is the point is the I understand no it was a 1 year course not even 1 year 9 months which is not even enough to get a baby out. Luckily, it's 2 years now. There will be good teacher training programs. There will be bad teacher training programs. There will be good master training programs, master's program. There will be bad master's programs. It will happen. It will continue to happen. We are human beings. We are all going to be. There are all those different barriers, whatever else, right? If I say there's an MBBS doctor in training, intern, and he or she is going through mental stress because he or she has to be awake 36 hours a day for 36 hours, which is almost what they have in the internship. Will you put it as a mental stress? No, you will not. B.Ed appears regimented at times. At times, because and at times it needs change. Therefore, we have moved from 1 to 2 years, and now there's this whole move it to 4 years. It's high time people understood that teacher education is not a time pass. It is a professional degree with which needs professional commitment. What we often say is that as a doctor, you can kill once. But if you are not trained effectively, you kill the child every day, little by little, little by little. So it is a period when the movement is from being a student to being a professional, a teacher who will be responsible for so many more. So the stress is there, 100%. It also tends to be regimented to an extent. We don't have it so bad. When I had joined the B.Ed, then the whole college would laugh at the B.Ed teachers because we used to have the assembly time after a particular, whatever the time used to be, whatever. And at that time, wherever a teacher who was teaching in the B.Ed department would be seen running to the department for that assembly, which used to take 15 minutes. Would you call this regimentation? Would you call it the importance of understanding that assembly is an extremely important component of a school system, and hence the overemphasis on it? So, these, I don't know, and I could go on. I could go on with these points here. And yes, when you're getting transacted from being a carefree student to be a practitioner who will be responsible for the knowledge elicitation, clay that you will have, how you mold it, the mistakes that you make. They say that teacher affects eternity. So, that's what it leads me to. I could go on this. Meeta ma'am, am I in a way able to state, answer your question a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, please don't call me ma'am, ma'am, but so much junior to you, ma'am. In
I think,
fact, yeah.
Dr. Malviya, I think you more than answered the question.
Yes,
actually.
yes, yes.
And I was for a change keeping quiet so that others get a chance to speak, because I already monopolized you in the beginning. But I can't stop myself. I found the lecture very enriching, as Suparna said. And I agree with Meeta, regarding this teacher training part of the discussion too. I think we will have a separate session on that, because there is loads to discuss on that.
Exactly, there
And
is, there
I
is.
think, the way you discussed impairment, disability, and handicap, that's how we started the first lecture on this paper with, special needs. You did it so beautifully. I mean, giving examples, and there was so much continuity and flow in your presentation that, I didn't move from one place to another. I was just, kind of glued, glued, listening to you. And that is, I mean, you are a living example of a good teacher, I must say that. And we are so privileged that we were able to hear you today, although it would have been fantastic to hear you face to face.
I'm so happy. Thank you so much, Nirmala.
It's
It reminds,
amazing.
thank you so much. You really put me on a platform. That's why I'm getting fatter and fatter. Thank you
No
so
one, no,
much.
no issues.
No, ma'am, you're the same. I have seen you the same over the years.
Thank you. Thank
Nothing
So
you
like
so
that.
sweet.
much.
But
Thank
yes,
you.
I hope
Yeah.
your smile gets wider and wider and remains there forever.
Yeah.
Thank you. I would thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you
So
for
lovely
having
having you over.
me.
Now Rima can take over.
Yeah, and I think Nimi, most has been said, but ma'am, the key takeaways from your session today, because you've kind of briefed for our students the purpose that Nimi and I visualized this earlier the lecture series into a certificate course was that we can sensitize our students as we were discussing in the beginning, na? And you have
Yes.
very well reiterated that every child in the classroom is our responsibility, and it is the mindset or the attitude that we really need to work at. And ma'am, this was the sole purpose of the certificate course, though the attempts were made that we could have the RCI copy of the course, but we did not want those specificities. Before that, we wanted to build the sensitivity. And I loved the examples wherein you said that children with disabilities, how children with disabilities empower a teacher. Most of them, they are seen as a burden. I'm glad you could install or reiterate in your session that the examples wherein children with disabilities can empower a teacher, and how beautifully you said that teachers are co-learners. And this has been the moment for all of us, ma'am. In fact, even in the certificate course, there have been times when a students support team, I'm sure Nimi would also believe in what I'm trying to say, I and Nimi used to feel technologically handicapped many times, if I can use the word in that term sense right now. I know it's a misquote here. And the students would used to come as a support immediately कि मैम ये नहीं हो रहा, ये कर देते हैं, PDF document दे देते हैं, ये कर देते हैं. So I realized they were giving us more tips and know-hows than what we could do. So, and I also love the push and pull analogy to discuss the diversity in the classroom that we face every day. I mean, there's a list, ma'am. So much to learn. The Bala part was great. The fan example was just amazing. It shows how you have been, noticing, and how you given our students hands-on skills on small things that they should be more alert to about. So, thank you so much, ma'am, for a great session. And
Rima, I also want to say that Dr. Malviya summed up the collaborative learning piece so beautifully. We all
true,
talk
true,
about it, but then the way you brought
yeah,
it out, it was amazing. And you made the students interact on it. And Himanshi came up with so many points on her own, and
yeah.
that's the way a session should be. And one request I want to make, please unmute your cameras for a group photograph. It's not every day that Renu is with us.
True, true, true. And
I
it's a pleasure to
want a
have her
group
always.
photograph, if possible. Everybody
Yeah.
unmute your cameras, please, so that we can all have a group photograph. Himansh, will you please click pictures, multiple?
Yes, ma'am, I'll do that. Renu, ma'am, can I request you if you could stop presenting so that वो screen पे
More
बड़ा
people
आ
can be
जाएगा?
accommodated. Huh?
Renu, ma'am, you're on mute.
Dr. Malviya, Himanshi is saying, could you stop presenting so that we can have more people on the screen? Thank you. Everybody, please unmute your cameras. This is a persistent request I make. Please unmute yourselves. Good to see all my friends here.
Yeah.
Hi, Meeta, Suparna,
Ma'am, I had
Prerna.
ma'am, I had a long day today, but I'm feeling so refreshed. Seeing all my friends together on
Absolutely.
one platform.
Students, please unmute. We want you also in the frame.
Yeah.
Students,
I
please
guess
unmute your
many have
cameras.
left.
Chavika,
Yeah.
Shruti, everyone. Please unmute. Thank you, dear. Please unmute. Please unmute, everyone. We want you on the screen.
I've taken the pictures for
Yeah,
everybody.
okay. Thank you so much. Thank
Great.
everyone, faculty members from other colleges who have been with us throughout, such a great support to us,
Pleasure is ours, Nimi. Pleasure is ours.
HDFE is one big family and we're all
Yes, it
together
is.
learning
Yes, it
from each
is.
other all the time.
Yeah.
And now Dr. Malviya has joined us and she's said that she'll guide us, and now we are not going to leave you. Muted, you're
Ma'am is
muted.
on mute. Yeah, she's muted. Yeah. In fact, I'd approached
He
ma'am
is
for the
unmuted
RC, I think,
herself.
earlier also. Yeah.
Dr. Malviya, please unmute microphone. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, thank you so much for making me again a part of the family. I'm so excited. I'm so happy. Thank you so much.
The next time we plan our course, you're going to be there for us right from the beginning.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a nice evening,
Thank you
all
so much,
of
ma'am.
you. Thank you, Meeta, Suparna, Chavika, everybody. And I just want to
Thanks.
say about
Tomorrow's
12 of
session. Yeah.
tomorrow, we have a session at 4 p.m. with Dr. Sanjay Sachdeva, who is the director of ENT Max Healthcare. He's a brilliant speaker, and he's going to speaking on hearing disability. That will be the last session for this course. And on the 12th, we have the valedictory. We'll start at 11:30 on the 12th because you have to do the assessment, the MCQs, and we'll give you half an hour to do about 20 questions. And at 12 noon, we will have the formal valedictory. I request all of you who wish to share something with us on this platform, tell us where you found weak links, tell us where we can improve, give us suggestions, and we would really welcome them. And any session you felt was, not up to the mark, it could have been better, or something that really touched your heart, you can speak about it. So please feel free, whatever you feel, share it with us, because we would like to include them in our report as well. And we want to improve. That is the idea behind the exercise. And do join us for the valediction. Assessment is mandatory for everyone. So I look forward to meeting all of you tomorrow again. It's so nice you're joining in all the sessions.
Yeah.
Meeta is muted.
Yeah, I guess she's muted.
Hi, hi.
But it's
Hi.
good. Hi.
I said, I'm so glad you're joining in.
Yes. Obviously, my pleasure. Pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much.
Okay. So we'll meet tomorrow at 4 p.m. for Dr. Sanjay Sachdeva's talk on hearing disability. And he has done a lot of grassroots level work. He's worked on cochlear implants for newborn babies in Himachal. He's done a lot of work for underprivileged children. So it'll be a pleasure to hear him speak. I've heard him more than once in JDM. I've called him, for a talk twice, and he's really sweet. And I just had to WhatsApp him once and he agreed. So a very down to earth, humble person. It'll be a pleasure to hear him tomorrow. Thank
Looking
you,
forward.
everyone.
Looking
Yeah,
forward,
yeah.
Nimi. I
Thanks,
wanted
Yeah,
to ask
Suparna.
thanks.
something. Are these forms for B.Ed in special education out? to give information
I,
to our
I
students?
don't know because the last batch of students who passed out, they have taken admission and they got back to me saying that they have joined special education in autism and all that. So
Okay.
I don't know
No.
about the present one.
So,
Uh,
Parna ma'am, I've been keeping a
Himanshi
check.
would know.
I've been
Himanshi.
keeping a check because even I want to get into B.Ed. तो मैम अभी तक तो कोई फॉर्म्स आए नहीं है ना इग्नू का ना आईपी का ना दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी का अभी तो नहीं आया but it was
बेटा लेडी अर्विन कॉलेज का भी है स्पेशल एजुकेशन, आप देख
हाँ
सकते हो,
हाँ, वो
वो
डीयू
भी
का
देख
होगा
सकते
ना?
हो।
हाँ हाँ हाँ।
नॉर्मल
दो में
आप
आएगा।
join नहीं कर सकते लेडी अर्विन का because that is a home science B.Ed
yes
and
ma'am.
you haven't done the other home science subjects, so you're not eligible, but you're eligible for the B.Ed in special education.
Yeah.
मैम इट वाज सेड दैट फरवरी और मार्च फर्स्ट वीक में आ जाने चाहिए फॉर्म्स पर अभी तक आए नहीं है बीएड के फॉर्म्स सो आई एम आल्सो वेटिंग कि जैसे कुछ नोटिफिकेशन आए तो इवन वी फिल इट अप
Yeah,
हाँ,
why
तो
not? Why not?
uh, as soon as anybody comes to know, we will share with each other.
Absolutely,
Hmm?
absolutely.
Okay.
Definitely we'll share.
Hmm.
The TIS entrance is already over.
Hmm.
I think some students did take the exam. I got to know after the exam was over. I didn't get to know
टेस्ट
prior
इज इन
to.
दिसंबर निमी टेस्ट
Yeah,
हैपेंस इन
ho chuka
दिसंबर
hai. My
हाँ वो हो
students
चुका
have appeared, na. My students have
है
appeared.
या
Okay.
हाँ
In fact, one of my students, her father is a former prof of TIS.
ओके ग्रेट
Okay.
Yeah, and this is the student who's written an article in a peer-reviewed journal on digital learning and all that.
ऑल
Okay.
राइट
Okay.
Yes, huh.
Hmm.
So this year, like we've had some very remarkable kind of students. I mean,